What's going on, everybody? The day has come. Skate hacks for tray flips. I've been avoiding this one for a while, just because it's kind of a basic trick tip that everyone has on YouTube, so I was kind of just avoiding it, but I was getting a lot of requests for it. So I decided to make an in-depth video on tray flips, and not just tray flips, but the main issues that people have with tray flips. So let's get into it. Tray flip is a kickflip and a 360 shove it. Now, I didn't know how to do 360 shove it's before I learned tray flips, so you may not have to learn how to 3 shove, but it can definitely help if you have both of those tricks. I just knew how to kickflip, but it probably would help if you knew how to 3 shove. Anyways, the setup for a tray flip. So the front foot is not as important as the back foot. So the front foot, I mean, you can put it wherever you feel comfortable. Some people put their feet really close together. Some people put it far spread apart. Some people put it right in the middle. As long as you have that basic sort of kickflip positioning, you'll be good on that end. So for the back foot for a tray flip, this is the most important part here, and a lot of people tell you this as well. The back foot for a tray flip, you want the scooping position. You want the toes hanging off. You want the toes hanging off. And I'll get into more detail on why this is important later. But you're going to want that toe hanging off, and you're also going to want it on the tip of the tail. So anytime you have your foot too close to the bolts on the back foot when it comes to a tray flip, you're not going to get as good of a pop. That's more of like a pressure flip position. You do not want that if you want a good pop. If you want a good pop on a tray flip, you want the toes hanging off, and you want it towards the tip end of the tail. So with that being said, the major issues that I see almost anyone who comes to me and asks me for tips on tray flips, the biggest problems that I've seen with tray flips are people putting their back foot flat. But let me try to explain it here. Look at my back foot here. You'll see that the whole foot is not on the board. So after tray flipping for so long, I've learned this, that it makes it much easier. You don't want to put the whole foot on the board. So you want to take a look at the tip of my toe here. You can see I'm putting pressure on it, and that's what you want, because when I'm putting pressure on it here, you can see that the board is leaning in that direction. It's almost like kind of giving me wheel bite. Not really, but you can see that it's leaning in that direction. And now take a look at the front foot. Because the board is leaning in that direction, the grip tape is coming up to almost meet my front foot, and this is going to give me some leverage. This is going to give me a much easier kick flip. So if you have your back foot flat and you don't have that leverage going on, you're not going to have the grip tape come up and meet your front foot for the kick flip. So it's going to be harder to get the kick flip rotation if you don't have that back foot leaning in on that side. So I slowed this down to show it to you guys because it's a very important part of getting the kick flip done all the way. If you have problems with the kick flip getting done the entire way, that's most likely what your issue is going to be. You need to put pressure on your toes on the back foot. So any tray flip you see here, you can pause it, slow it down. You'll see that the board is leaning in that direction right before I pop, and that's what you want, because that gives you leverage for the front foot, so it makes the kick flip a lot easier. So with that out of the way, another issue that people have with tray flips is just not landing back on the board because they're too far in front of it, and that's usually the case, that they're too far in front. So to fix that, you need to lean back on top of the other things that I'm telling you here with the putting pressure on the toe. You need to lean towards the back end of a tray flip, because you want that tray flip to go in front of you. You want to get that scoop as hard as possible. So it takes time, but this is one of the biggest problems that I see people have. They're putting way too much weight on their front foot, and if you put too much weight on your front foot, that's most likely going to happen. Okay, so another common problem with tray flips is landing with your feet too close together. Now, this is a common beginner mistake, because when you first try tray flips, you may be uncomfortable with having your feet too spread apart from each other in the air, which is okay, but it's definitely something that you need to get used to, because that's going to be a better strategy for you to land bolts, is if your feet are further apart in the air. If you bring your feet too close together in the air when you're tray flipping, you're more likely to land with your feet too close together. So a common mistake is that people will scoop the tray flip, and once the scooping motion is done, they'll keep the back foot going in that direction, and it gets really close to the front foot, which is something that you don't want to do. You want to scoop, get the scoop over with and bring that back foot right in front of you again to land near the back bolts. So you want to aim for both of those feet landing on the bolts, so therefore it's most important that you keep your feet spread in the air to land back on those bolts, because if you keep those feet too close together in the air, you're more likely to land with your feet close together, and that's definitely not a good thing. You're more likely to bail out on the tray flip if your feet are too close together. So you want a solid weight distribution when you land, not with all of your weights centered in one area of the board, and you'll be more likely to break the board too if your feet are too close together. So those are my overall tips on how to tray flip easier. Hopefully that made it easier for you guys. I wanted to clear up the major problems that I see most people having with tray flips and how to fix them. So comment down below any future skate hack suggestion videos that you have on tricks and whatnot. Thank you guys for watching. As always, see you next time.